sorry, are we starting? Oh, I had no idea. I was just doing some light reading.
Girl, you need to do some light fleeting.
Girl.
We can say that because this is the gay show.
This is the gay show. That's
Isn't it
so shocking. That was not one of the Jenga questions.
Isn't it great? I'm sure it was. They just didn't
I'm sure it was.
They didn't put it in. I'm very surprised how
Gay they
many
are.
how many gay specific things are also happen in Korea. I would have never expected in this episode, hence why I'm wearing sweatpants today, for them to be like, men should always wear gray sweatpants. I was like, I've seen this conversation many a time in the gay community of America.
Girls, when I tell you the crisp fall gray sweatpants season, especially, we love to see it. They threw 3 episodes at us.
I know, so let's not dick around.
I don't need it. I need to talk
Let's
to you.
not dilly-dally. First of all, why did they give us 3 episodes?
The only thing I could think of, when we were watching the 5th episode, was like, were they trying to fit? I was like, were they trying to fit the coming out stories at the end of Pride Month? That was the only thing I could think of.
Oh, maybe, I guess. That could be it.
Especially since they had like Seoul Pride this weekend.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
That's the only thing I thought about. But, I mean, it doesn't change the number. So, like, at the end, we're just going to get 1 episode. I don't know. There are 11 episodes? So, I don't know.
We'll be here. You know where to find us. So it starts with where we left off from episode 2, which was Hyung Jun had just showed up and was like,
"Get dressed, girl.
Let's go." And Sungho goes, "Okay, what should I wear?" and puts on a scarf.
That is the gay representation that we need.
That is gay.
There is
something gay about being like, "What should I wear?" A scarf.
Everything's
my outfit's
the same.
Complete now.
Everything's the same, but scarf. Oh, thank God. Okay,
right.
Now I'm ready to go out.
And then
it was very cute how he was cutting my meat, but it was like he was doing
like
it really awkward.
Yeah, it was cute.
And let me tell you, Hyungjin, I told Adam, Hyungjin looks like he's a good eater. Like he loves to eat.
I forgot I'm on camera this whole time. I just wiped my nose.
Well, these gays.
I gotta be pretty. He always has food on his face.
Yes, he always has food on his face. So cute. Which is just
Junpyo.
Yeah. It just feels like he's very comfortable. I mean, like, he talked the entire time while they were on the car. Like, he was chatting Sungho up like a
Yeah, and they're both allegedly eyes.
Yeah.
Which I guess that makes sense, but once they reveal their careers later, it was
very
like,
clear.
That
That's
makes sense.
why. Yeah.
But after they have meat,
they go to again
the cottage industry,
the cafe dating industry. There is a cafe that has a thing to do with a date, like anything you can imagine.
Right. Or any place you can do an activity also serves coffee. That's I think really what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a foot spa place, but you can have an Americano.
Yeah. This is why they're up till 5 a.m.
Because they're drinking Americanos constantly. Mm-hmm. You know what's funny? When I was at a trip in Mexico City, friends of the show.
You could just say Mexico City.
La Ciudad de Mexico. People were the people we were with. They were like they needed cold brew very badly, but I was like, just get an Americano, and they're like, ugh. And I'm just like, I just prefer an Americano over a cold brew.
Okay.
So, it's
the most boring conversation we've ever had.
It's your fault. You were the one who introduced Americanos to me in college.
Also, they drink Americanos because they don't have brewed coffee like we do.
Yeah, it's all espresso.
Yeah.
As I look at my espresso machineless kitchen.
The girls from the 3 dates, the girlies, the girlintras, come back, and Junsung and Minsung
are the first ones.
back, and he bought those gifts at the grocery store, and he is like pressed that Sung-ho
Where
is not
is he?
there.
Where is he? He was like, he either quit, which we've seen happen in other shows.
It's true.
It's like he either quit or someone took him on a date.
Or like last season when Chaos Twink was like, I had to go to the hospital. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unexplained.
That was, again, one of those times where I was like, as an American, the idea of just being like, oh, I was just popping over to the hospital is
Because I have a headache.
completely foreign to me.
Yeah.
And I mean that in every sense of the word foreign.
Foreign. It must
We would
be
just
nice.
like suffer. We would be like, well, this is it.
We would just be like, well, I'll pop up Tylenol and call it a day.
Imagine healthcare. Okay. Sonu and this is crazy that I have to keep 3 episodes worth of information in my head. Sonu comes back with Hyungjin, and he also is like, where's Sung-ho? Blah, blah, blah. Because he had also bought him ramen to be like, I'm so sorry we didn't get to
Yes.
go on a date. It was like a very amicable.
Yeah, at this point of their relationship, it felt very much like I feel bad that I was taken away from our date because of Hyungjin.
So he like goes into their bedroom to like help look for Sung-ho and sees the gifts that Jun-sung had left him
It was like
on the vanity.
a Coke Zero, the cookies that he made. Left him the gift, and there was like he made a face of like reading it and like oh, and then like wanted to like leave the room to
Yeah.
like pretend that he didn't see
Because there was a
it.
Polaroid that he left him as well. And let me say this: Hyungjin and Hyungjin are like not
I know, it was
into
kind of-
each other at all.
It was kind of crazy that they came out of nowhere. Like Hyunjin was very much like he's also very straightforward and direct and strong. It was like strong. Like I don't think I like that.
I mean, they have to ask what their type is when they cast the show.
Yeah.
So that they can kind of cast different people. And I wonder if they were like, they both described a type that's not each other. And they're
And-
such a specific type that they were like, oh, well, they'll be the 2 that we bring in late.
Yes.
Because it's,
They're like
that way they don't have an disadvantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes I think when they do this on the dating shows and they bring people in late, I always feel bad because I'm like, yeah, but you have less of an opportunity now.
I feel like now that I've seen enough, the people that they bring in later are more like a specific personality to just kind of like stir everything up. That they could be someone's exact type. And Min-sung, mama, the eyes grew like hearts, and they're like, oh, awooga, like
Yeah.
2 men.
Yeah.
And like, yes, even in the last episode, we were like, I haven't like gotten engaged from him. I feel like I got everything from Min-sung.
in these
3
3 episodes, yeah. we'll definitely learn a lot about Min-sung.
He like fully became like one of the main characters, I would say.
Yeah. They're like preparing the dinner, and Hyungjin is like flirty over the food. Like they're preparing the food or whatever. He's flirty. And then there's a part where Min-sung's like cutting the vegetables, and Hyungjin's like holding his hand while he's like cutting it. And I was like,
Yeah, it's crazy because this is before we know their careers, right, or their professions, and so it did feel very much like he is so straightforward. Like he just goes for it. He's also flirting so outwardly
yeah.
than anyone in the house that I was like, oh,
Yes, I think that's right. Flirting the most, obviously. I think everybody else is keeping their flirting more private, or they're
In the
being very
one-on-ones.
direct and being like, I like you.
There's like no fun, and it does feel
No
like
one's having
no one's-
fun on this show.
like all of a sudden, like Min-sung became like this princess. I felt like.
Yes, one of them literally calls him, they
The
were like, he
prince.
looks like a prince.
Yeah, like he becomes someone.
Min-sung
that's-
is very attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps scraping his face with this like
What is the scraper?
jade. It's not jade. It's like a white scraper. He does it all the time. He does it first thing in the morning. Do we need to be doing this?
Should we be scraping?
Should we be scraping our
Please
faces?
let us know if we need to be scraping. Should I be scraping? What am I scraping? How sharp is it?
I think it's dull.
Is it just like a
And then I think it's just to like
stimulate blood flow?
Maybe gently exfoliate.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to over exfoliate.
Maybe it's just a stimulating thing. I'm pretty sure it's dull. Should we be scraping?
Should we be scraping? Please let us know in the
Will,
comments.
I look like Min Sung if I start scraping?
No. Jay, we've come to the time in every Korean dating show where they finally are allowed to reveal their ages and their professions.
It's the best. It's the best.
It is truly one of my favorite parts. It's a canon event. We love to see it.
Because obviously there is such a like cultural respect on what you do, your age, just seniority in general.
Yeah.
That by eliminating that, it feels like they're always on like their toes.
Yeah.
And now that they know, it just like unleashes like, oh, I can finally talk comfortably, or I know who to steer clear from, or who I can direct my attention to. That's the part that I feel really bad about. Because there were people that like, because of my age and my profession,
I feel bad.
I feel bad. I feel less than now all of a sudden.
Jun Sung is 27 years old, and we don't know if this is Korean age or international age. I'm assuming it's Korean age. But he says he's 27 and he works at a department store.
And when he said that, I was like, his ex was the guy who also worked at a department store. I think it's Unche, but I don't know. I think that's his name.
Sonu is 32, which I actually don't think I was.
I knew he was older. I felt like he was gonna be the oldest.
I thought he was gonna be like 29, 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he probably is 30.
He probably is. Yeah, it's Korean age. But I felt that was right, that he was 30.
And he owns a gelato store. This is the life I want to live.
To own a gelato store in Seoul.
Yes, or be married to Sonu and have him. Sorry. And have my husband own a gelato store.
And Friedrich and I will just live here.
Are you a gelato? Are you an ice cream? Are you a frozen custard?
I love a hard pack ice cream. Established.
Yeah.
Jenny's Salt and Straw. You know, those are. I'm a purveyor of good
fine ice cream. Handcrafted.
I do like a gelato. I love a stracciatella. I love the chocolate chips and like chocolate shavings inlet. Or a Neapolitan.
Sure.
Ooh.
Of course.
Yeah. How about you? You're a gelato girl?
I like gelato. I really like a mascarpone gelato. That's really good. Or anytime they have like a pistachio. What's it called? Spumoni? Spumoni. Oh my god. Spumoni.
I also want to do a tour. I mean, we'll have multiple tours.
I'm gonna say something. I think Italian shaved ice is better than gelato.
So there's like
I think
ice,
gelato
it's the
is
ice
good.
cream and the shaved ice, right? That's what Italian ice is.
Yeah.
What is the one that Anthony? No.
Down in Florida, it was Jeremiah's.
Yeah. Shaved ice too. I'm a big shaved ice girl.
Kakigori. Yes. What were you gonna say? You're gonna do a tour?
I want to do a tour of all of the places that we've seen people work at or own.
Oh.
So
yes.
Jungwoo's corn coffee place from Singles Inferno
2. Mm-hmm.
And then this, obviously, his gelato place.
Yeah.
Hyungjun's bar.
Hanbin's Mom's Cafe.
Just a full survival reality show tour of people.
Somebody would be like, what did you do when you went to Korea? And I would literally just be like, I went to 600 cafes.
Because I said, I mean, you could do a full like Jeju cafe tour. I could do a full Jeju. I could plan a full Jeju.
You know what I want to do in Jeju?
trip.
This is so touristy, but you know what? I'd be the tourist there, so it's fine. I'm gonna do the train, the little train in the sky in Jeju. They're not monorail, but monorail-esque.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
From all we've seen on Change Days and at the end of Exchange, we could do a full Jeju trip with all of the places that they've gone.
Honestly, at this point, we could do a full BL trip too. And go to iconic BL locations.
Yeah.
I bet we could find that bar. I bet we could find the bar from the Semantic.
If Zhangha found it, we can too.
We can ask our friend Zhangha where it is.
Yeah. We'll ask him at KCON. when we see
Plus
him.
Wikigon.
Yeah.
Yoongi, his name is Yoongi, by the way. Yoongi is 21.
I know. And is a former Taekwondo athlete.
I did not expect him to be that. I
did not expect him to be that young.
I did not expect him to be the youngest.
I would have bought like 23, 24. I did not expect 21. I really thought Songho was going to be the youngest.
I did too.
Just the chaos drink energy.
Yes.
But when we were like Chaebol energy, he used to be an athlete, and it's that discipline
Yeah.
that I was like,
It's
ooh,
the-
that's the coldness, but
It's
like
very
carrying
a shoulder to cry on of the like, I got
the
injured,
archer.
so my career is over.
Yeah.
At the age of 20. This is why athletics are wild to me.
Yeah.
As a person who's not athletic.
Yeah. But
But he's just in college. And he like feels bad about it, which I think is crazy.
no.
Because if I'm dating someone who's 21,
I'm
I don't
expecting-
expect you to do anything else.
I don't expect you to be a doctor.
First of all, I wouldn't date someone who's 21.
Yeah.
Sungho is 24. And he is a makeup artist.
Shocking no one.
Just like
Just like Chaos Twink.
Chaos Twink.
Look, there's gonna be a hairdresser and a makeup artist every season. I hate to tell you.
Also, that's the other thing is I was like, wow, gay jobs really are gay jobs in every culture around the world. Flight attendant, makeup artist, hairstylist, like
Yeah.
idol. Singer-songwriter, people in the arts.
People in the art.
It's just very funny to me. And it has nothing to do with whether you're an introvert or extrovert.
No, it's just gay.
Min Sung is 24, also. And he is the head. He is the... Okay, hold
the
on.
subtitle, yeah, the translation was a little weird. The way...
He's the head of consultation for the plastic surgery place he works at.
Yes. So he said he went to school for it after he was he started as a flight attendant and then went to school for what he's doing now. It's crazy because in Singles Inferno there was a straight up plastic surgeon.
Jungkook is 33. He is the oldest.
I did not expect Jungkook to be the oldest. Truly.
I didn't expect
I really
him to be the
thought it was going to
oldest.
be Sonu or one of the Hyungs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you said
he's-
Hyungjin was the oldest.
He is 33, and he is a singer-songwriter, and his stage name is David.
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 We watched his Instagram. Adam cried at a Culver's
I did. I did.
watching it.
Yep.
I mean, it is very sweet. And I truly want the best for Jungkook. Like, truly.
too.
Especially since we find out all of their coming out stories. It's just,
Yeah.
he's had a really long journey.
Yeah.
This feels, the vibe from him from the entire show is like, this is just me putting myself out there finally for once.
Yeah. And being, like, honest and,
Yes.
like, open.
And there was a sense of like him and Sonu kind of like made eye contact of like, we've gone through a lot and now this is like our time to finally like do something for ourselves.
Yeah.
Which was really nice.
Yeah.
So it's never too late, girls.
It's never too late. And we will tell you that.
And we will tell you that.
Hyungjin is next, and he is 26, and he owns a hair salon.
Slay.
Entrepreneur.
That's the thing. We'll also I mean, we can just go to everyone's job, truly.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
a consultation from Min Song. I
Yep.
mean, guys, that's the first
When we
thing.
go to Seoul, we're going to be coming back looking like new people. Just a little lift.
a little lift.
Just a little lift, a little fill, a little plump. Hyungjun is 30, so he's the third oldest. And he is a bar owner, a DJ, and a YouTuber. So, hey girl.
Hey, girl. Daniel.
Daniel.
I swear, I think I subscribed to Daniel before, like, we even started. Because I think it was when I was in Phoenix, I was rewatching the vlog series of the His Man 1 people to kind of, like, check in and see how everyone's doing. Because a lot of them do YouTube now, too. So, and they were, I mean, there's like a gay community on YouTube, like gay YouTubers, and they just live stream. And just
Are
chat.
you telling me there's gay people on YouTube during
Did you
shows? Hyungjin and Hyungjun get to pick their rooms.
Yes.
So there's been a third bed added Well,
There was okay. There was
Okay.
a second bed added to Min Sung's room, and an extension to Yoongi's bed, basically.
yeah, basically they took Youngi's bed and they were like, you now have a full, like a twin-sized comforter, and someone else has a twin-sized comforter next to you.
Yeah.
Fine.
You know, do what you gotta do. But it's always part, I think it's more part of the, like, fun tension.
It's camp.
It's camp.
And I don't mean it's camp, but it's like it's summer
camping.
camp. Yeah.
It was very fun because Hyungjin was like, no, since you're the oldest and you were the latest, you should pick. But he looked like he did not want to be in that room at all. He did not want to share a bed. Like
Yeah.
but he didn't want to appear greedy and be like, I really don't want to share a bed.
Yeah.
To-
What would you have picked?
I would have picked my own bed.
Yeah,
I would have rather,
100%.
because I move around so much when I sleep. Although, when I went to my trip in Ciudad de Mexico, Matt and I shared a bed and we were fine. But I think we were just so tired that we're like, we did not move. But I mean, it does work out for them because they do end up going on dates. So
Yeah, there's a lot more. This season feels so different in terms of like,
right, there's a lot of combinations.
there's a lot of combinations, and no one's heart is like fully set up. There's only a couple people who are like, it's this one person
Yeah.
for me. Whereas like last season, I felt like most of them were like day
Giving-
one, they were like, this is it.
Yeah,
This is the one I like.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
They're playing the field more.
and people are giving themselves time limits. They're like, if by day 3 I'm not getting anything back, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really interesting. I think also because they have more days than the first season. That
Yeah,
helps.
that's true. The second night of calls. The first for Hyungjin and Hyungjun.
And they go first.
And they go first. Hyungjin calls Sonu. And it was like a gratitude, like, thank you for letting me go with you. I hope you had a good time, blah blah blah. I couldn't tell if it was I think he does like Sonu, but I don't know if they're
didn't feel
I don't
any-
know. I cannot get a read on what Sonu likes.
I know.
I think he likes so much that
Yes.
he's not ready to like
Yes,
fully
commit.
decide.
Yeah. It's giving ENFJ behavior. I hate to tell you, as a fellow. Like, it's this moment, and then he has another moment later where he's like, he expresses how he feels about getting so many phone calls.
Oh,
That
yes.
just feels very much like, oh, I'm starting to see. And the fact that he comes out late.
Who was the one in one of the 3 episodes? There was someone who was like, I feel like I have to do what people expect me to do. Or
was him.
something. Was it him?
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, my fellow ENFJs, we get it. We have a lot of pressure.
Hyungjun calls Minsung,
I know.
which is very cute.
I
Because they're in a
know.
room
They're
together.
roommates, and they were roommates.
And he liked him because, like, when he moved his stuff in,
helped
Minsung
him
was like,
unpack.
oh, here, let me help you unpack and, like, organize your stuff, blah, blah, blah. And so he was like, thought it was very sweet. And that's why he called him. And then Minsung calls Hyungjun.
This is our first match.
This is the
on
first
phone
match.
calls.
This is the first match.
I think the only one still.
This is
current-
the only match so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. I got chills. I was so giddy. Like,
It was very
Heart
heart fluttering. It was heart fluttering for
fluttering.
sure, for sure. Sung-oh calls Sonu. Jun Sung calls Sung-oh. These are all standard.
yes,
This is
this is the plot from episode 1.
Yeah. Youngie calls Sonu.
You want to talk heart fluttering, bitch? He literally.
How is he 21? How is he 21? How is he 21? How is he 21? You remember me at 21. I could not have given this energy.
No.
People who knew what they were doing couldn't have been me.
It does feel very 21 in the, like, he bucked up his courage for those, like, next 5 minutes that he had to do
When
that.
he like stomps in,
he gets
throws open the
he
door.
gets his phone call. He throws his phone away, like swings the door open, just forcibly runs to the phone, and he's fully just like, "I'm going on a date with you," basically. And then like hangs up on Sanu. Doesn't even finish the 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That feels very 21 of like, I'm just, kind of like building up the courage to just do this and just like spearhead through.
But it didn't feel like he was doing it because he was scared.
Yes, he was still like
confident about doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was like, I'm so nervous that's why I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
I think the person who's most nervous when the calls is Jungkook.
Yes, like he can't get the words out.
He can't catch a break. He's next. He calls Youngie.
Yeah. And this is when he's like, I think I need to start containing my feelings, or at least not thinking about him, because I don't want to like basically disappoint myself when I don't get anything reciprocated.
Yeah. Which leaves Sonu, who calls Hyungjun.
Yes.
Sonu has not called the same person the whole show.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just 2 calls that have been made. But I also think Sonu likes to be chased. Sonu doesn't like to do the act of...
He didn't want to pick up the card again, remember? He didn't want to pick the
next
date.
day,
and then he decides that I need to start doing it.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of like...
That was the gayest way I turned that paper over. With these 2 fingers, I went...
You're just like Sungho eating with utensils.
Oh. There's been a lot of silverware usage.
I wonder if it's like a chic thing of like, let's have pasta.
I think they've just been,
they've been
eating a lot of pasta.
I think Sonu is also casting a wide net. I think he doesn't want to disappoint himself if he does like pursue one person.
I think Sonu has commitment issues.
I mean, he says it when he's
basically says it
he's
later.
Like, I broke up with someone after 2 years because the next logical step was to move in with them, and I didn't want to, and they were surprised at that.
Yep.
Gays never change.
Gays. So episode 4, we are officially in episode 4. Hyungjun decided, this is like post the calls. Hyungjun has decided that you remember how he had the wish with Sungho?
With Sungho, he want a wish from him.
He want a wish.
He gets the most letters.
He gets the most letters in the MBTI. And so his wish is for Sungho to do his makeup. This would also have been my wish.
Free professionals.
Or Hyungjin needs to do my hair.
Hyungjin's like, can I fix your hair? And he's like, yeah, please.
Yeah. And then he's like, will you do it tomorrow? And he's like, only
So
if
that
you're going on a date with me, not if you're going on a date with somebody else. I don't give a fuck.
That's what I mean.
That's
Hyungjin
really
is
funny.
like having... Hyungjin and Hyungjin are having a good time. I genuinely feel like they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a little bit more emotionally connected, I feel like.
Junsung thinks he found the love of his life. I mean...
No, Junsung.
It's like 72 hours and he's like, it's a real Romeo and Juliet situation. They're going to be married by the end of the
Which is so
week.
funny in contrast to Sonu, who is a little flighty because he doesn't want to like,
make a decision. Yeah.
Junsung is like full speed
But
ahead.
it's the thing too that some people have, I feel like especially very traditionally attractive people have. Sometimes, not everybody, but sometimes where they're so used to being liked that they don't want to settle down with one person because then think of all the other people who you might end up like you could be with at some point else. So that's that's the fear is like by removing myself from the market, like what am I missing out on? But like that's not how it works really. But
I bet he's a Leo too.
That's what I want to know more than their MBTIs. I want to know their birthdays. I want to know their signs.
I want to know their signs.
100%.
I need to know their signs.
I need to know their signs.
I bet he's an Aries or a Leo.
He's so fire sign.
He's so fire sign. It's very toxic fire signs already. I will say, I mean, even before the end of the episode, when they did reveal the ages to each other, specifically with Yoongi because he's the youngest, he feels like there's no way that they could date, or that there's no way that Yoongi will see him as a viable option.
Yeah,
because of the age gap, and then
this is what it was. Yeah,
and then Yoongi on the opposite end feels that because he doesn't have a job which I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a thing that 21-year-olds will
It was
go
also
through.
funny because Sonu, not funny, but it was kind of sad because Sonu was like, I own a gelato shop, and I was kind of ashamed that I had to reveal that. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're crazy.
He even felt, remember after dinner, he like sat by himself and he was
Yes.
like, I also feel like
he was like embarrassed.
because I'm 32 also, like I don't think people will want me anymore.
Yeah.
Oof.
The two girlies who are lazy bums
Are still
being lazy bums.
Yeah. And Sonu was like, oh, the mission card's already there
Yep.
with 3 cards. And he reads it. And basically, if you pick one of these cards, then you get to pick a date.
Yes.
He takes one and then he puts it back and then realizes I should be decisive today, and then picks it up again.
I think it was that, but I also think he was like, I don't want to feel deceptive. That like I think he wanted to be like, I did pick the card. I shouldn't be like, oh, let me just put it back.
That's true.
I think he felt like he really needed
I already
to.
decided to do it, so I should commit. Junsung, half asleep, kind of stumbles out there.
He's so stupid.
And even like, Sonu doesn't say anything.
No. He doesn't even really say anything to the other two.
No. But they're just kind of like talking around it. But then Junsung like actively chooses not to pick one. I think he's probably just like, A, he's half asleep, but B, like, I'm sure we'll figure out later.
He like comes down to like go to breakfast, but completely like misses the table with the mission cards.
He even says it later that he was like, I knew they were there, but I just didn't.
He didn't think about it. He was like still half asleep. But like, girl, you are the one in this show who is like, I'm down bad.
I can't get a date with Songo. This is the second time it's happened.
so
this
dumb.
just happened, girl. You already did this. You were late last night.
Yeah.
You were late the day before, and this already happened, and you weren't able to pick a date.
Yeah. Jongwook and Yoongi are the two that take the other 2 cards. And I think Jongwook is like kind of
also didn't
regretful
want- yeah.
because he was like, I want to be chosen. But I'm glad he got to go on this date because I worry that
He's not
he
going to end up on
wouldn't have been chosen.
I know.
I'm very worried for his trajectory on the show.
No, I'm so worried for Jungkook. It reminds me of Wonbin from Love Exchange.
The love of my life, Wonbin.
A true perfect human being. Like
They say
sent from
perfect men
God.
don't exist, but Wonbin
Wonbin
is a person who
is
exists.
a person who exists, and he is literally perfect.
I know.
But I think today I started to get that validation that Jungkook is here for himself,
Yeah.
and that's the outcome he wants. That at the end of the day at the end of the show he'll come out like a more authentic version.
This
of
is a
himself.
growth.
Yes.
So Sonu and Sungo go to this like, we're gonna paint each other. We're gonna draw.
This is more of a classic.
This is
Date.
This one I've seen before.
I've seen this versions of this before.
So they're picking out. I did note. I had to note.
Oh.
The beret.
The bin of berets.
The bin of berets.
And he picked one that matched his sweater exactly. Sungho's outfits.
He has such a cute sense of style.
To
His
go-
coat.
His coat.
Also, honestly, Sonu's like white puffer. It's so impressive if you can wear white and keep it clean in the winter.
And I think that's Sanu's thing, because he cleans every morning,
Yeah.
and he also owns a gelato shop, so he has to keep it clean. But yeah, I love Sungho's sense of
It's
style.
called Melted.
It's called Melted. We gotta
Write that down. Write
write
that
it
down. Write that down.
I love Song's sense of style. If I get to pick, like, I want to look and dress like someone as a wish right away, it would be Songo. The glasses, the hair, the lip,
The tattoos.
the tattoos.
I think they have a really nice time together. It's very sweet.
And I think
Sunwoo realizes that the image of Sungho that he interpreted upon his first impression is not who Sungho
Chaos
actually
Trank.
is.
Like, I think he interpreted him as, like, immature.
Yeah.
Like, flighty.
Yeah. Pot kettle. Just saying, Sunwoo. Sungho can draw. I mean, I guess it makes sense because is technically an artist, but it was very impressive.
It was very good. It was very cute.
Sunwoo cannot draw.
You know what? It's
Sunwoo's drawing looks like what I would do. If probably, honestly, better than what I would do. So I shouldn't
should
really
try
talk about
it.
it, but
We did remember one time we did have a painting class. It was like poppies, or it was like
it was lilacs.
lilacs.
Yeah.
And this woman was like, "That's beautiful," and you were like, "Girl, don't even try."
No, she hated me. She loved you, and she hated me because I
because
just
the
can't.
entire time you kept making self-deprecating jokes. That's why.
That's
Because
true.
you were like, "God, man, push me over the water, fucking bury me in the fudge factory next door. My God." And she's like, "Okay. Do you want to keep painting these fucking flowers?"
I'm just really bad at. I think the hardest thing I have when I do art, and it's mostly just because I like haven't done it enough to like
Yeah.
practice my skills or anything, but I am so bad at like layers. Like you're supposed to start from the back and work forward, and I
Yeah.
feel like I work in reverse, so I start with the things that I think
You're
are
seeing
closest.
right now, yeah.
And you're not supposed to do it that way. Anyway, Jungkook and Hyungjun go on this little date.
Yes. Jungkook drives again.
They're
and
matching
matching.
not just the coats, but also the white turtlenecks underneath.
So cute.
They're so cute.
So cute. And that's the thing.
I would never want to match you. I want to make that very clear right now. That's not something we should do.
Unless we're at Latte World.
Oh, sure.
On that
Unless
fucking
we go to
French
that
Revolution.
Unless we go to that one student theme park where they like have to pretend to do jobs.
Oh.
That every idol group goes to.
Every idol group goes to. Yes. Oh. So they talk about like jobs. Actually, they talk about he's like, I used to be very active because Hyungjin was like, yeah, I actually tried out to be a singer too. I did a
he went to
JYP
the
tryout,
JYP audition.
and he was like, I did a JYP tryout too, but then my dad didn't let me go all the way. Basically, I made it
Yeah.
far. And he was saying he was really busy before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, he did a lot of radio programs in English, which makes me think, just podcasting? Is that what he means, or is he
I
like
have no
straight
idea.
up
A
Sirius
radio?
XM, like
Yeah.
him and Michelle Collins, just
Yeah.
giving
Yep.
just morning radio.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I have no idea. Jungkook, please tell us. Please come on the show and tell us.
Jungkook, please come on the show. We would be thrilled to have you.
Yes.
So they go to like an arcade,
Yes.
basically, and just like hang out and
They
like
just hang
goof around.
out. It's very like, I could tell it was more of like a friend
It was very much like friend date. Chingu date.
And I think obviously since they don't call each other, like that also
Yeah.
makes sense. But when they were having lunch, Jungkook wants a husband. He's like, I'm not fucking around. I really just want someone to literally be my
know.
husband. So he was just like asking all of these questions.
It was an
that are-
interview for sure.
It was a full interview of like, okay, what makes you a viable long-term partner?
Yeah.
What are you looking for in long-term partners?
Yeah.
Just like had a questionnaire.
What's the hardest thing that you find in like maintaining a relationship? Oh my god.
And he was like, damn, girl, I'm just trying to eat these crabs.
Yeah.
But it is very cute when they start doing the norebang, when they start doing karaoke. And he was like, Jungkook
I
was
was
like, I
so
know
jealous
every
because I
song.
wanted to hear what they were singing.
I know.
I wanted
Obviously
to
you
listen.
can't because
They-
rights.
we're not going to get the rights to
but
it,
I
yeah.
just I need to hear their voices.
I know. So cute. So then Hyungjin and Youngie, they go to a macrame cafe. Macro cafe.
I wonder if there's like a like a story generator where it's like activity, aesthetic, cafe. And it just
feels
generates, and then they're like, great.
yeah, it's like a full like a lotto, and then it just spins, and then you get a ticket that says like, here's your new venture.
Here's your new business.
There you go. And the bank gives you that with your money.
You now have to make an origami cat cafe in Gangnam. Like, and then you're like, okay, great.
Have you ever owned a dream catcher?
No, I always wanted one. I thought it was very cool. You did?
I did when I was little, yeah.
But see, I have very vivid dreams. And by vivid, I mean like, it truly, like today, I was so cranky after my nap. And Adam was so annoyed because I was like whining like a child. I was like, and I told Adam it was because I had a dream that I needed to be off book for a show that I was in, but I like woke up and was like, my show hasn't started yet. I don't know why I would need to be off book.
RJ has frequent dreams. He dreams a lot. And unfortunately remembers them. I'm sure I also dream plenty. I don't remember any of my dreams. But he will like wake up and immediately be like, oh my God, I have to tell you about my dream. And I'm like, you really don't, because it means nothing. But you are a full like,
it's a full vivid like day. Like,
but you have the belief, you are of the belief that the dreams have meaning.
Yes, they do. They are subconsciously what your like. My third eye is a wide open, girl. It's what your subconscious is like thinking about, like, and it's just the only way that it can be let out in a dream, and you're forced to like see it. Woo woo.
Okay, Sedona Crystal ass. Albuquerque.
Maybe if I did have a dream catcher, I won't have that many dreams. Isn't that... How does it work?
They catch your bad dreams. So you only have good dreams.
You have famously bad dreams.
I have bad dreams often, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't tell you about them. Isn't that crazy? Because they don't mean anything.
Adam, don't be mean.
I have frequently have a dream... period. And it stars. I'm just kidding.
Dokyo.
Bloop.
Who is an idol that you've had a dream about?
I've never had a dream about an idol.
Adam, come on.
I have had... I'll say this.
Okay. Come on, give the girls a little something.
A little taste.
Yeah.
I have had dreams about idols that I didn't think adults could still get. And that
speaks volumes.
voluminous. A nightmare.
Yeah.
They were nightmares. They've all been nightmares. The episode ends though with like
back at home,
the two girlies who are sleepy
Junsung and Minsung, who don't get dates. They're just at home chilling.
Yeah. And they have tteokbokki. It's really nice because they seem like very friendly with each other, which is very sweet. And luckily they had gone on that one-on-one date yesterday. So what?
I think that's the most fascinating thing about about his man is that there's a distinction of like, you are my sister or you are someone that I
am interested in.
And all the sisters like that, they just start sharing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why later in the episode when Hyunjin talks to Minsung later,
yes, yeah,
before the third call, I think he was in sister mode.
And had to snap out
and
of
had
it.
to snap out of it. And had to get out of there, girl. Yeah. So I think it's just really funny.
It's very pleasant, this whole
Yeah.
interaction. They go off to their
Take naps. They're the two famously cannot get up. So
smokers too, by the way.
I just
Nope. Nope.
I'm not
No.
I'm not condoning it. No.
Great.
Of course not. But it's just so chic.
Okay. I actually don't think it's chic I don't think it's chic when Koreans smoke.
Parisians, French people. Oh, the French. Smoke in my face, girl.
I think it's offensive when French people don't smoke.
in front of me.
Yeah. I thought there was not enough smoke when I went to Paris.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
Everyone was
The girls
like,
were vaping.
Everyone was like, oh my god, when you go to
E-cigs.
Paris, everyone smokes. It's the whole city smells like a cigarette.
No,
And
everyone's
so I was like
E-cigs.
mentally prepared for that, and then it really wasn't bad at all. LA, I don't want to see people smoke. Smoking the heat? Smoking in heat? For what?
What? Gross.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
And that's been Smoking Corner.
guys, smoking kills. Okay.
Does kill. It's true. After his little nap, which he had slept on the bed.
On the bed. I can't sleep on the bed. I need to be under the covers.
Yeah.
Even if it's hot, I need to start under the covers, and then if I kick them off, I kick them off. But I'm not an above cover napper.
Okay. He goes to he takes down, after his nap, he takes down his duvet and finds a note from Sungho in his bed. And I didn't write down what the note said, but it was basically like,
It's basically thank you for the cookies.
thank you for the cookies. Thank you for these cookies, baby.
Thank you for these cookies, babies. Take care of the house today.
Oh, yes. Take care of the house
Because
today.
Sungho was alone the day before.
Yes.
And it was on a piece of little doily from the cookies.
From the cookie box.
And okay, if that happens, okay.
When this show started, would you have been like, I think Jun Sung is the most romantic person in of these 8 people?
No.
And yet here we are.
He is so
He's head over heels.
Head over heels. And we didn't talk about it, but on the call he did to Sungho, he was fully like, I'm going on a date with you.
I'm going on a date with you.
And so when he sees this letter, he already felt bad, obviously, because he didn't pick a date that morning.
Right.
When
He was like beating himself up. about it.
yes. And that when he finally got this, when he got this card, it was fully for him, was like, I didn't think he had actually liked me. Now I know he likes me.
Yeah.
And I don't think Sungho likes him to that extent. I think he's thinking of the possibilities. It reminds me of in Change Days with Pianist Girl and Jungwoo, where she was like, I don't think I like him, but because he was like, he kept expressing how much he liked her, she was like, well, he is taking care of me, and maybe there is something there. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. That he's like, because he's so nice and affectionate to me, I think Sungho was like, I want to be grateful, but then also like, I have a good time with him, so maybe there
Change
is
Days or Singles Inferno?
Singles Inferno, sorry.
Yeah.
In Singles Inferno. Two. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling here.
I think too, the other thing that Jun Sung knows is that like, there are people you like because you're immediately like, wow, you're really attractive. You're just my type visually. And then there's the people who are like, oh, you're like you can see them objectively, they're attractive. Maybe they're not your first choice, but the more you get to know them and their personality wins you over, like you literally start to see them.
See the
like,
future.
Yes. And like also it like translate, your brain starts to literally be like, wow, they are really attractive.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So if you were Jun Sung and you see that, and we see that he like, you know,
Collapses.
Obviously, he is hysterics, and he tries to write a reply.
Yeah.
Did you expect what he wrote? Because I did not.
I did not expect what he wrote. No.
I thought he was going to be also just as coy. I did not expect him to be like, I'm going to fucking take you out on a date. Like, he was like so direct.
He was a sentence away from being like, I'm gonna, you know what, we're still on YouTube, guys. That's
yes, it was just so
Different
direct that I think when Sungho finally read it, he was like, oh, like, it kind of caught him off guard. Like it made him kind of blush a little bit. You know,
It's so funny because he is very forward with Sungho. Like he is not beating around the bush.
No.
But he's also very winsome. He is like, he knows how to flirt in his specific way that's very fun
Yes.
and like playful. But he also is like he's not cold. I would say that's like him and Yoongi are similar in some ways, but like where they differ is like he is very attuned to his emotions and he's
Yes.
very emotional.
yeah.
And that's not like a negative thing at all. But could you imagine if I was like, and I think men crying are disgusting.
Me, a person who cries when
Yeah.
a man cries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Hyungjun comes back. Him and Jungkook come back from their date, and he sees that Minsung has like cleaned their room,
Yes.
which is very nice.
It was very nice. Even Minsung was like, I don't want him to think, you know,
I don't want him to get mad.
mad at me because I touched his stuff. I just wanted to do it, and he was very like, I really appreciate it because I was planning to do that today. I knew that I left it a mess, and
These two.
These two, I'm keeping an eye on them because
Keeping an eye.
Yeah, these
Yep,
two.
These two.
They're very acts of service. Minsung is very acts of service.
Totally.
Unpacking.
Absolutely. And
Young-
Sonu.
yeah.
Sorry. I don't know why they romanized it the way
I
they
don't
did.
know either.
It's very annoying.
It's so confusing. It's literally Young Hee.
Yoongi, yeah.
They have a talk, and Yoongi and like Sonu. It feels like Sonu's trying to like do a little bit of just checking in with everyone that's called him.
Yes.
And I think Yoongi's the one that he still hasn't kind of like had the time to really sit down and talk to.
Yeah.
And
Here's the only thing that's weird about Sonu. I still think he's like I don't think
Yeah.
he's like a bad person or whatever, but it's weird that he in episode I think 2 is he was like, I'm not interested in any of the people who called me, like whatsoever, and then like in this episode has told all of them like he wants to go on a date with them.
yeah.
And I wish he was more clear, and maybe he was like in the moment, they just don't show that, but like I wish it was more like, I want to at least get to know you.
Like I didn't have feelings for them at that moment.
Because obviously it worked out for Sungho.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he saw a side of him that he didn't realize
Yeah.
that he had, blah, 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 blah. So maybe that's why he's saying this to Yoongi, is like, he's like, oh, maybe the same thing will happen with here. It's just weird to me that he like, from the beginning was like, oh, it's a no
Yeah.
for me.
Which is interesting because I think Hyungjin is the only other person that's very outright like that. Like, there are 3 people that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And so they just go about it different ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's still trying to like, but I still want everyone to like me.
Yeah.
But while that was happening, Yoongi was like, I was sweating. Girl,
Oh.
it was hot. I was flustered. I couldn't look him in the eye. Like, he is...
And he had the talking head where he was like, I don't care if there's a 12-year difference. As long as we're both not minors, it's fine.
I know.
Girl, don't say that on Twitter.
Ooh.
They don't like that
They
there.
don't like that on Twitter.
They don't like that
But
on Twitter.
Yoongi is just... I think the discipline from his, like, athletic background has really, like... He is in such a mature place that... I mean, obviously, Hyungjin even calls it out of, like, he's so mature. He reminds me of Jay from Enhypen a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think is, you know, Jay is still nervous when he has to talk to Sonu. So...
Don't do this. I can't have the end genes after me too. Okay, so they play Jenga. They did this last year too. And on the Jenga tiles are written like questions.
Yeah.
Like yes, either or, yes or no, blah blah blah, stuff like that.
Was that one of the questions?
Maybe not. Maybe.
not.
It was a rainbow set of Jenga.
It was a rainbow set of Jenga. And so some of the questions, I think the raciest question was, is there someone you want skinship with?
Yes.
And Yoongi was like, yes.
And then later Hyungjin was like, are you going to call that person tonight? And he was like, yep.
But
And
did
we will
he?
talk
And
about that later
and
because
I don't
what?
know,
Anyway.
because, I mean, I think the standout questions were obviously like what were your longest relationships? And so that's when we heard about Sunwoo's 2-year relationship and then Jungkook's 8-year relationship.
I know. Junsung's Christmas story.
I mean, there was that question. Would you rather be would you rather be ghosted or find out that they were cheating?
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, it was kind of split. There were a lot of people who were like, I can't bear knowing, so I would just accept ghosting. And some people were like, I need to know why I'm mad at them.
Yeah.
But for the Christmas story, it was that he works at a department store, so he already hates Christmas. But he took one Christmas off to go on a date. And when he went to the bathroom and came back, he was like on the apps, basically.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what the fuck are we doing?
Ooh. And it was Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. And then the next day, the gifts that he gave him, he brought it back. Oof. Man,
Girl,
what are we doing, man?
What are we doing? But then what they really wanted to do was to bust out the workroom trauma area.
Kelly Mantle, so vivacious. What was it like
growing up
gay in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Fully. I knew going into it, there are going to be people who are like, I had to come out because of the show.
At least
You know,
one.
At least one.
Yeah.
Sunwoo was like, there was a week before filming, and I just needed to come out to every single person that I needed to come out to.
That's crazy to me. Because he's
31, 32.
32. Also, like, he's not super
Passing.
He's not butch.
He's
Let's
not
say that.
butch.
Let's say that. I think the spectrum's a little different though in Korea, but last season there were like at least 3 of the contestants were like femme. And there's not
no one that's really femme
anybody
here
this year.
I would kind of say that Minsong might be the closest one, but it's like super.
Well, the scraping for sure.
The scraping for sure. I think Minsong might be, but I think he's like behaved in the show.
Yeah.
I get it from the Hyungjin and Hyungjun a little bit, but I also think they're trying to like dim it down.
Femme?
Yeah, I think.
I don't get it from Hyungjun at all. I get it a little from Hyungjin.
I think Hyungjin is like Kiki Kaka reading.
I think what a profound sentiment that was. Thank you. Kiki Kaka reading.
Yeah. I think what was really fascinating was that Hyungjin was like, I couldn't hide it from a young age. Like he was like, I came out at very young. And then for Hyungjin, it was like, I just came out naturally.
The saddest was obviously
Jungkook.
No.
Oh.
I mean, yes, to some extent.
There is something.
Junsung.
Yeah.
I thought that one was really sad. How it was like he was kind of like forced into it. I really hated how his mom like tore up his letters from his like boyfriend. And like he felt like he was forced. Because like coming out at 18, especially in like a culture that is still not there. I mean, I came out at 14 and that was wild, but I was like at least in a relatively safe bubble. Yeah.
There's that
pride.
Because of pride. And it's that thing of like we're just forced to be brave. You know, and that really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was the thing with Sunwoo's friends. Was it No, it was Junsung. Junsung's friends, when he came out to them, he was saying like they were mad at me because they were like, why didn't you tell me first, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the Eighth Sense conversation that we've had of like coming out is not I've been lying to you, you know.
Yeah.
With Jungkook,
but Sungho makes a really good point of being like, but when you make the conscious decision that you're not going to be truthful, there are lies that you then have to tell in order to hide the truth.
Yes.
And then he was like, one lie becomes 10 lies, becomes 100 lies. And then and he was like saying, if you're trying to have an open, honest relationship with someone, it's very hard to do that when you have this like wall up about who you are.
And I think that's why Sunwoo's gonna call Sungo. I think Sunwoo truly is like, oh, I truly didn't expect him to be as mature as he is.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I feel like even though it is very sad that he felt like he needed to basically run away, leave his family.
Yeah.
Essentially, because they're very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says like, you know, they'll...
Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, like, he even says like now they'll talk, they have their relationship back, but like it only stays in one place because they won't like go into it. They don't want to like find out more.
Yeah.
There is that sense of like, I'm glad that at least he knows that like I can leave the situation. Even though it's hard, I can put a separation between my family and I in order for us to kind of like, in order for us to have to be better for the relationship. Well, and he even said like his friend, like he says that his friend was like, when are you going his brother. Yeah. He says like, when are you going to live for yourself or like do it for you rather
40 when your parents die? Like, when are you going to start doing this? Yeah. And also his 8-year relationship one was really sad too. And we don't know why.
He said it was like they were together at a very young age. So
they kind of just probably became different people
in that time frame.
But like 8 years is so long. And also I think makes sense as to why he's like, I don't have the courage to do this because I've not had to do this.
Yeah.
Because I guess we don't know when that relationship necessarily ended, but probably recently. I can't believe they were going to get married.
I know. And I did like that he said that of like, because I am an American citizen, like it is possible for us. And it made Sungho was like, I never even thought that could be something. Yeah. And I do wonder if like, is that something that I would want? And he says like, because I think I would, if I end up being in a long-term relationship, I think I would like to have that.
Yeah.
See,
in gay media, like we do, the coming out story has a little bit been beaten to death, but it's such a huge touchstone of every queer person's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And will be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think these are valuable moments. Especially like this is airing in Korea and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think with media, like, yes, I think I am more attuned to, like, when we watch BL, like, I'm more attuned to the BLs that don't feel like they either have to do that or they do it in a way where it can be seen as positive, because I think we're trying to kind of show that it doesn't have to be like a big traumatic thing, because it is for people.
Yeah.
But healing can help in other ways too, you know?
Yeah, like, I really liked this moment. I thought it was so nice that they got to do this. And I know they did it last season too. There was someone, I don't remember who it was, but someone last season hadn't come out yet.
It was like...
Min's song's not out.
Yeah.
His parents.
Yeah. He was like, they'll find out. It's time for phone calls.
Hyunjin calls Youngie.
A grateful call, but I think with a little bit more like, we went on a date, but I'm solidifying. You're a finalist, girl.
Yeah, Hyunjin is crazy because he fully is like, there are definitely 3 people I like. A 4th could be on the horizon. But if you're not in that list, girl, you're chopped. I mean, at least he hasn't said like, you and you.
Yeah. My sisters.
Right.
Because I think...
It's definitely Hyungjun.
Yeah. He's not interested in.
Yeah, the people he's not interested in, it's Hyungjun. I don't think he's interested in Junsung.
I don't think either. And I don't think it's Jungkook. Or Sungho.
I was going to say Sungho.
I think it might be Sungho.
Hyungjun calls Minsung again.
He is so cute in this
He
call.
is so cute.
He is so giddy. He has the best smile on the show. He
just feels like he's like in the moment.
Yeah.
So completely.
As soon as the phone call is done, Minsung is like, who was that?
Because he calls and he's like, thank you for
today.
Organizing.
Thank you for organizing.
And that was pretty much like all he says.
Yeah.
And then Min-sung has no idea who called him.
He still isn't 100% sure that he called him the day before too, remember?
Yeah, that's
he was
true.
like, I think we called each other, but I don't know.
Come on.
Girl,
Come on.
just sharpen the pencils just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Min-sung calls Hyungjin, not Hyungjun.
And they were in the same
Were
room
you
together.
expecting this?
I was not.
I was not expecting
I
this
thought
at
he was
all.
going to call Hyungjun.
I thought he
because
was
he
too.
cleaned his room. Period.
Because he called him yesterday.
Yeah. They were like together in the room, and he was like, well, I don't want to say no, he can't be in this room with me because he might suspect that I don't want him here when I call him. But he was saying like I was already planning on calling him. But I do think, I mean, it was when they were washing dishes together.
The day before.
But I think he's still like
Thinking about that.
thinking about that.
But I thought, what I'm saying is I thought it was interesting that he didn't use it yesterday.
Yeah.
He called Hyungjun instead.
Yeah.
And then today called Hyungjin. Jungkook calls
Jungkook
Yoongi
opens up his notes app.
and writes a message.
He calls Yoongi again, and here he says, like, I want to make sure I get everything out
Yeah.
because then I can kind of like basically like have closure for himself, I think.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm gonna put this to bed. I'm doing this for myself that I can like express in this way because this will be like an experience of growth for me.
Yeah.
He essentially says that.
Right. I don't know at this point who else I mean, I guess he could have called Hyungjun. I just don't know what.
I just don't know what the sparks will be for the rest of the show for Jungkook with other people. I haven't. Anyone is
I need
interested
them to bust
in
out
like,
the karaoke machine that I know is somewhere in this
Did you-
house.
It was that episode of Change Days when he goes on the overnight
Yes.
trip with a girl. and
100%.
He hears her sing, and
Yes.
he's fully in love with him.
Yes, but also that does not work out because they do not choose each other.
I know, but
I'm just saying.
it was very tense for a couple of days because he
Yes.
was like, I can't get her ballad out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing might happen.
I need these boys to hear him sing and then they'll be like, wow.
But also, I don't get the vibe that anyone wants kind of like no one is giving like they're looking for someone that's like soft that they want to take care of.
Everyone on the show wants to be taken care of.
Which I think really,
Except for like Yoongi.
which I think is more
and
of like
Junsun.
a commentary on like that's just what men and like masculinity's pressure
Sure.
in that culture.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. Yoongi calls Sonu. Or does he?
Yoongi calls Sunu. Yoongi thinks he called Sunu, but we're watching Jun Song take the call and like respond to it.
Yes.
Because even Jungkook was like, it was so weird because he was like, I knew it was Yoongi's time to call, but I didn't hear Sunu answer his phone next door. Even Jun Song answers, and then like when he comes back, he's like, cheers, that was so unexpected. And Yoongi was like, oh yeah, because you probably heard me. You probably heard who I called. Jun was like, yeah, I heard who you called. And then Jun Song,
It played like a sitcom where I was like, no one has, like, you watch a show and you're like, the miscommunication is so crazy where you're like, girl, just say it.
but no one's saying it.
But you were like, this isn't in real life. This literally just happened on the show.
Yoongi is fully just like, yeah, I've been calling the same person every night, and tonight I wanted to make sure that he knew how I felt, so that if nothing happens by tomorrow, I'll let it go. And fully Jun Song is like, and to his talking head was like, he called me, but none of those things apply
Made
to
sense.
me.
Yeah.
So, but there's no resolution. It just goes to the next person.
That was what bothered me, is because I was like, I needed
at least one subtitle.
I
to
needed
be like,
one caption to be like, he didn't realize he made an error and hit the wrong button or something.
something. So crazy.
Yeah.
One subtitle?
Nothing? I mean, it's gonna probably be in the next episode, right? I would assume, but like,
It just got me so confused.
so Sanu calls Sungho. This is now, he's called 3 different people.
Yes. And this one, again, also like very flirty. I think that's the thing with Sun. He does, the conspiracy theory is clicking now, that like he is kind of, I think, doing some of these things on purpose, of like, he wants the attention from people.
I don't think it's malicious.
It's not malicious. I think it's just how he prefers or feels comfortable to like to flirt and to like to be in a relationship with someone.
He likes having options.
Yeah. But it was at this moment where I was like, oh yeah, because his call was so direct. He was like, bring a spoon tomorrow.
Yeah. To breakfast. So we can eat Greek yogurt.
Ooh.
Junsung obviously calls Sungho.
Yeah. And again was like, I want to go on a fucking date with you.
Yes. So forward.
Yeah.
Very direct. And Sungho's like, okay. But he did say during Jenga that he does like him.
Yes.
He's on the list.
He's on the list.
And then Junsung got the question of,
and
do you like someone to your left or to your right? And he goes left. Without hesitation.
And then when...
Girl, you got to give it a second of thought to play the game.
And then when Sungho got his reply back from the letter that he wrote, remember? And it said, like, I want to go on a date with you. He was like, you should have woken up early. Like, why didn't you take the card? Yep. So he, like, knows that, like...
I think he does want to go on a date with him.
Yeah, and, like, find out. Yeah. For sure. So the cliffhanger is that he doesn't know if he should call Sonu or Sungho. He doesn't know if he should call Sonu or Junsung. And he says that he's in the intersection of love. Beep, beep.
It's giving absolutely the end of season 2 of Grey's Anatomy when she is choosing between McDreamy and Macbeth. Yeah. 100%. What a moment in culture that was. Huge.
So, okay, Adam, who would you have called at this point?
The end of the 3rd night.
Who would you call? Or just like right now, after watching those 3 episodes, all of a sudden you're transported as a contestant. Who would you call?
I'm contestant number 9. I don't speak Korean, so that's, a part of it. I would call...
You're full fi with a translator.
Yeah, I have an inner ear.
Just like watching.
Yep. I think it would be... Okay, I don't think I'd call Junsung. Because it's so obvious. I probably would have a good chance with Sonu. Just because he's like... If anyone shows interest in him, he's... Yeah. I really think Hyungjun is really cute. And he's really adorable.
But who are you calling?
I'm calling Yoongi.
So this is now your second call to Yoongi. Because in the Vasa episode, you call Yoongi.
Yeah.
The slamming. Oh. The stomping. I know it's so toxic, but my God. It's so hot. I would call Hyungjun.
I had a feeling that
he is having such a great time. He is like having so much fun that I'm a person that is drawn to someone who's just like wants to have fun and is like so we would have a blast at that arcade, grilling meat for days, eating these crabs. And he's a bartender. And he was making drinks for everyone. I was like, he's got it.
He brought his own shaker. That's so funny. On. Yeah, he's great.
I would be calling Hyungjun.
You'd also be cooking every day.
Yeah, I think technically it's a rule that like they have to like swap who cooks.
Yeah, probably.
But I would volunteer to cook every day.
Yeah.
Just because they would be providing the money to grocery shop.
This is my question: who provides the money to grocery shop? The production.
I think the production crew does.
Okay.
So that's why they're always like, "Do you want 10 packs of noodles? Do you want?
Yeah.
Let's make steak today."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.
Queen.
Queen, you've done it again. constantly raising the bar for these cigarettes.
Don't